Lesson 6.3 is on how are STDs prevented. For objectives, we have four of the followings. We have identify common STDs, so we're going to look into some of the commonly known STDs, explain how HIV or AIDS affect the body, list and describe the ways in which HIV can be transmitted from one person to another, and identify effective ways to reduce and prevent the risk of STD infections. So a lot of these information are going to be presented in the professional manner. It's okay if you feel a little uncomfortable with it, but I think it's very important for you to know about these information for the future, because oftentimes in our Adventist schools, we don't really talk about sexual education. So we're going to have a very professional and very informative class, and let me know if you have any other questions aside from the lesson that I cover. For those who are still wondering what STDs are, they are sexually transmitted diseases. So we talked about communicable diseases in the previous lesson, and this is one of the communicable diseases that affect people of all ages. And because they're communicable diseases, it's going to spread from a person to another person. It is important to know about STDs because unfortunately we have increasing numbers of teenage STD in the United States and actually overall across the country. So why are we having more teenagers getting STDs and having that exposure? First reason is because they are becoming more sexually active. It could be a lot of different reasons, but one of the reasons that contributes to having students and teenagers more active, sexually active in younger age, is because of the online sources that you guys have, your phones, your computers, laptop, your internet sources. It's easier for students and teenagers to encounter sexual content a lot younger than before. Also, if you think about different media like TVs and shows that you guys watch, they contain a lot more sexual content than before. So a lot of people are exposed with those ideas and information early on. They often have a greater number of sexual partners. Oftentimes, they're not in a marriage relationship, so they are going to have multiple boyfriends and girlfriends before they become an adult and have more stable relationships. So if they start being sexually active in a younger age, the chances are you're going to have multiple numbers of sexual partners. Scientists also say increasing use of different substances such as tobacco, marijuana, and alcohol can also contribute to the increase, because even if you're not having sexual intercourse, you may share different needles and different things that may transfer STDs from a person to another person. Another reason is because teenagers often do not take safety or protective measures, which means because of different reasons, either financial or emotional, social reasons, teenagers avoid taking protective measures, for example, using a condom. STDs can impact you in many different ways, health-wise, emotionally, and socially, but also physically, it can make both genders infertile. So that means even if you want to have babies in the future, you won't be able to have a baby because your reproductive systems are going to be damaged. And if they're untreated, a lot of times, even if you were able to have a baby, you can pass the STD to unborn babies. In this section of the lesson, I'm going to cover some of the common STDs that we know. And I actually made a little chart so I can break down the common features of these STDs into cause, symptom, do they infect babies, and if they have treatment or cure. So if you want to make a chart like this, you can follow the chart. If you want to just write them out, you can do that. Just know that I put it in this format so it's easier for you to look into different types of STDs. So the first one is chlamydia, and it is the fastest spreading STD in the US. And the cause of this STD is by bacterial infection. When you're infected as a male, you're going to experience burning sensation when urinating because you are going to have some inflammation of the urethra. For some people, you may not have any symptoms. For females, usually you won't have any symptoms until its later stages. And because a lot of the people may not experience any symptoms, even if you have it, you won't have any treatment, and thus you're going to spread the STD to other people more likely. Do they infect babies? And the answer is yes. When an infected mother passes this to her baby, it can cause blindness. And because it is caused from a bacterial infection, you treat them with antibiotics, and you can cure this by taking the antibiotics. So once you find out that you have chlamydia, you can take prescriptive medicine like antibiotics and also treat them completely. Genital herpes is another commonly known STDs, and unlike chlamydia, where you have antibiotics to cure your symptoms and your disease completely, this one actually infects you for life. It is caused by a virus, and I will not test you on the name of the virus, but the name of the virus is called herpes simplex virus. So this virus is going to cause symptoms such as red, tender skin, blister and bumps, and even flu-like symptoms. So you may have coughs, fevers, body chills, and things like that. And like I said, because it's a viral infection, you're going to have it for lifetime. It's not going to go away. Your symptoms may go away if you are using different type of treatments. So we'll talk about that in a minute. The next one says, would they infect babies? And the answer is yes. An infected mother can pass the disease to her baby, and it can cause severe brain fever. Brain fever for babies are going to be very dangerous and fatal, and the treatment options would be antiviral drugs, and it's to help you reduce your symptoms. It's not going to cure you. So the second part, is it going to be cured completely? The answer is no. You're going to have it forever once you have it, and you may have symptoms coming and going, but that's just going to be with you. The next one is called genital warts. And basically, if you think of warts, you think of different bumps that's going to be created on your skin. So it's kind of the same thing. It is caused by a virus called human papilloma virus. Again, I'm not going to test you on the actual name of the virus, but that's how you're going to spell it if you want to have it as a part of your note. This virus actually is known to cause cervix cancer for women, not so much for men, but for women, you have a chance of having cervix cancer. And symptoms are basically growth on the skin of the genital area. So warts are going to grow around your genital area. That's going to be pretty painful. Okay. Do they infect babies? It is unusual. We can't say that it's 100% no, but they are occasionally possible to infect babies. Not all the time, though. It's very unlikely that the babies are going to be infected. And because it's a viral disease, you're going to use also antiviral drugs. And because they're warts, you may use different types of removal, like laser removals. There are other types of removal too. For example, you have cryotherapy, which is freezing the warts with liquid nitrogen, and you can also remove it by that. And because it's a viral infection, the answer for a cure is going to be no. Gonorrhea is another one, which is caused from bacteria, and symptoms are going to be slightly different from males to females, but both males and females are going to have unusual discharge. So other than urine, you're going to produce something else. And for male, you're going to have painful urination, similar to chlamydia. And for female, you're going to have abdominal pain, fever, and also pelvic inflammatory disease. Can it infect baby? Yes, but during birth. So you're not going to infect your baby during your pregnancy, but if you're giving natural vaginal birth, you have a chance of infecting the baby. And the type of infection is going to be mostly eye infection. Now for gonorrhea, Because it's a bacterial disease, you can cure them or you can treat them with antibiotics, but it is very fast in developing antibiotic restraint strains. So it's harder to treat them every year and every time as they spread. So the technical answer for cure is going to be yes. It is just harder than some of the other STDs that are curable with antibiotics. The last one for these commonly known STDs are going to be syphilis. It is caused by a bacterial infection. And the symptoms are going to be similar for males and females, and you're actually going to see 3 different stages for this. So the first stage, you're going to develop painless sore around your genitals and your mouth. Now, after it becomes stage 2, you're going to also develop rash, fever, headache, and also weight loss. And if you don't have this treated on time and develop into further stage 3, your cardiovascular system and nervous system may be damaged. It is only going to infect the babies if the mother was untreated for this disease. So if the mother was infected by this bacteria but was treated, the chances of having babies with the infection is very unlikely. Treatment, because it's a bacterial disease, it's going to be using antibiotics. And it's going to be more effective the earlier the stages are going to be. And it is going to be curable.